Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed. At 1,000 subscribers, I'll be posting a special video. The chain strains, the door jumps, someone pounds again. Open up, a voice I know and dread. I thumb the deadbolt and freeze. I'm Daniel, 33. My wife plants her feet and lifts the peephole cover. Her shoulders lock when she sees who waits outside. A white envelope slides under the door. My name written hard across the front. Read it from the hall, clipped and certain. I start recording with my phone and crouch. My brother's boots shift on the mat, impatient and ready. Mara lifts the envelope with 2 fingers. She stares at me like I hold a live wire. I nod once and tear the flap. Papers spill, bank prints, timestamps. A photo falls last, my face, another woman, why now? Tell her the truth, he presses the bell again. The chime echoes through our ribs. Mara's jaw works as she scans the sheet. Her eyes jump from line to line. Mine follows slower, transfers to a card I do not use. Unlock the chain, his voice slides flatter. The door handle dips as he tries the turn. I brace the wood with my palm. Back away, I say, breath thin. Mara steps closer to the hinges, ready for a shove. He laughs once, dry and sharp. Mom already saw her copy, a pause that dares me. Heat rises in my ears and fades fast. This is planned, this is tight. I pocket the phone deeper, recording every twitch he gives. I lift the top print and feel my stomach drop. Money leaves our joint account in regular pulses. Every Friday, small enough to hide. Another photo, that woman outside my office. Her face turned, mine clear, his trap is awake. Open the door or I send the video. He taps the peephole and the glass trembles. Mara's thumbs whiten around the edge. She looks at me and waits for a yes. I give her none yet, he wants me loud. I hold the photo closer and search the border. A smudge where a logo should sit. No logo, wrong corner for our building. A seam shows near the curb line. I feel a thread I can pull if I last. Answer me, his knuckles hit 3 times and stop. I hear a little exhale through the crack. He is listening for fear like a medic. I keep my voice low and balanced. We talk at the elevator, I say. He does not move. Mara touches my wrist and shakes once. Her mouth barely opens when she whispers, "Go if you must, not alone." I nod and unclasp the chain slow. He leans forward like a dog at a gate. I ease the door open and block with my shoulder. His smile is thin and quick. He tries to look past me toward our kitchen. I step out and close the door behind. The latch clicks and he flinches like caught. He thrusts a phone toward my face. A video waits at 0 seconds. A thumbnail shows me at a parking lot. I hold up my palm and he pauses. Play it, I say, and he grins too fast. The clip rolls, I walk toward a woman. We speak, she passes something small to me. The angle sits high like a pole camera. I scan the frame and see a familiar dented van. The van belongs to our neighbor who hates us. Recognize your hands, he pockets the phone slow. Recognize the card charges too. I glance at the hallway camera above the stairs. The red light winks and dies, someone killed it earlier. My own building turned witness, that hits like a blade. I'm calling security, I reach for the wall intercom. He blocks the panel with a relaxed wrist. Better call your wife's mother instead. He smirks and points at the door behind me. The message is obvious, he wants more damage. Mara steps out with her back straight. She holds only her keys like a warning. You have 5 minutes, she says without blinking. He shrugs and lifts the envelope again. There is a 6th page, he whispers, the hook sinks. I pull the page and find a calendar print. An event labeled Move Funds for A. The time matches a transfer line. My chest tightens and then steadies slow. I never leave labels like that, another seam. My thumb hovers over the call icon. I think of our bank manager who hates surprises. I think of the spare laptop Alex borrowed last month. I see the path and it scares me. I decide fast because slow will kill us. Lobby now, I jab the elevator button hard. Mara stays at the threshold and watches us both. The doors open with a reluctant slide. He steps in, still smiling, still sure. I hold the last page like a fuse that burns. The lift shudders and starts down. He watches my hands. I hold the papers tight and read the margins again. A watermark flickers wrong when the doors rattle. He notices my stare and smirks like a man with time. I brace for the next hit and weigh every second. Play the clip again, I point at his pocket. He taps the screen and leans close for effect. I track a shadow sliding across the frame. It lands where our neighbor parks his van. The shadow moves before my head turns, which means bait. Ground floor, doors part, he steps out first. A guard at the desk watches us approach. I raise 2 fingers and keep my voice calm. Access logs, foe. Or tonight, I ask, eyes on the tablet. The guard hesitates, then unlocks the screen under pressure. My brother laughs through his nose and drifts behind me. Check your unit, he murmurs, casual as dust. The guard's finger hovers over a list of badges. A guest code pinged our floor 20 minutes ago. The code belongs to maintenance. The shift shows empty. He pivots toward the exit like this bores him. I hit call on my bank contact and wait. A hold tune fills the air and drills my skull. He watches the guard's tablet instead, restless and certain. I mute the phone and ask for the camera feed. The guard pulls up a hallway view and squints hard. A hooded figure reaches toward the ceiling dome. No face, broad shoulders, a familiar tilt at the hip. The frame cuts out with a blink, then returns late. The timestamp jumps forward 8 minutes, which wrecks alibis. He coughs into his fist and takes 2 steps back. I do not turn because he wants the reaction. Freeze there, I tell the guard and tap the screen. A sleeve rides up and shows an inked line. Not his, but close enough to light up my nerves. The bank finally picks up and asks for verification. I give the code and push for audit history. The agent reads a change made last week. Recovery email moved to an alias ending in our surname. My stomach knots because the alias format matches his style. Send the log now, I kill the call without goodbye. He paces a circle and clicks his tongue once. Should have told her sooner, he whispers near my ear. I stare at the guard until the email lands. The attachment pings and I open it with shaking resolve. A login came from my spare laptop at 2 a.m. 2 pushes failed, then a third passed with backup codes. The IP points to our mother's building Wi-Fi. I feel a line snap between us and that safety. He watches my eyebrows climb and knows the line I traced. I slide the phone across the counter toward the guard. Plays witness receipt, I say, voice clipped. The guard nods and writes the time on a pad. My brother tilts his head and smiles without warmth. He finally understands I am building a record. Footsteps slice in from the entrance and stop hard. Mara stands there with her jaw locked steady. She does not look at him at all. She looks at me and points to the papers. Trade, she says, and holds out her keys like a challenge. We swap without touching fingers. The air bites between us. She skims the top page and marks a corner with a nail. This mark repeats on every sheet, she says evenly. I check 3 pages and find the same tiny nick. 1 printer, 1 stack, 1 careless rush to frame me. He adjusts his collar and reaches for bravado again. Everyone saw enough, he mutters, eyes on the doors. Mara lifts her phone and taps record with a flourish. Explain that repeat defect, she asks with no blink. He sneers, then resets his face into a bland mask. A delivery guy shouts from outside and wheels through fast. The motion trips the automatic eye above the entrance. The feed blips and returns to live time. On screen, my brother stares straight into the lens. He does not know he just gave me a Klein frame. I pocket the audio and call the number in the clip. The woman answers on the second ring with breathless caution. Meet in 20 at the cafe by the station, she urges. I agree and end the call before he can sniff it. Mara hears the plan and nods like a commander. He moves to block the exit with a lazy step. I angle left and brush past his shoulder on purpose. He grabs my sleeve and squeezes to show control. I let the papers fold and then yank free fast. The sleeve tears a little, which I will remember later. Follow if you want, I throw over my shoulder. Keep your hands where the cameras can see. He laughs for the guard because he needs a witness. Mara drifts between us and points to the board. If he touches again, call the police now. Outside air hits and clears my lungs like ice. Traffic roars and makes private words impossible. We walk hard toward the station without looking back. I feel him trailing at the edge of earshot. He will not risk losing control of the script. Halfway down the block, my phone buzzes twice. A new message arrives from an unknown handle. Bring the envelope alone or the next video goes public. No punctuation, no greeting, just leverage typed in haste. I take a screenshot and save it to cloud backup. Mara reads over my knuckles and breathes out slow. That number ends with your childhood digits, she notes. A chill runs across my neck and then fades. He wants me to feel chased into old patterns. I choose not to flinch and keep my pace brutal. We reach the crosswalk and wait for the signal. He stops on the opposite curb and checks his phone. A car idles near the curb with tinted windows. The driver glances up at us and then away fast. I mark the plate under my breath and store it. Green light, we move, he hesita. Tess behind one step. I lean toward Mara and keep my voice low. He is not the only player, I whisper. She nods without surprise and squeezes my forearm. The cafe sits ahead like a stage we did not choose. I push the door and hold it for her without ceremony. She walks in and picks a table near the door. I stand instead and face the entrance square. The woman from the clip slides in with darting eyes. She clutches a pouch like it could vanish any second. Quick, she drops folded slips on the table. Receipts show work nights and badge replacements. She points at the dates with a firm finger. Each aligns with a citing from his curated file. Her voice stays steady, yet her hands will not. I lift one slip and tilt it toward the light. A smudge repeats across 3 corners like a signature. Same printer family, Mara notes, eyes narrowed. The woman nods and adds another proof with care. A message thread from a near number lures her to meet. I feel my jaw set and release because control matters. He hovers outside on his phone while pretending to wait. I tilt my screen for the woman to see the threat. She points to a grammar error that repeats in each line. A pattern owned by one person we both know too well. Will you swear to this if asked? I pause for breath. The woman stares at the door and nods once. I will if you keep me out of his reach. Her voice holds fear and a new thin courage. I slide her my card and promise something I must deliver. Mara gathers the papers and returns them to the pouch. She taps the table twice like a judge with a gavel. Next step is clean chain of custody, she states. I record a timestamp and her confirmation aloud. Outside, my brother lifts his head like he heard the word custody. We stand together and move toward the exit with care. He steps aside but tracks the pouch with hungry eyes. I head for the station officers without breaking stride. The woman matches our pace and keeps her chin up. Tonight changed shape, and now he knows he is bleeding control. We hit the station door at a march. The handle sticks. Mara yanks once and it gives. The woman clutches her pouch. Footsteps scuff behind us but do not close the gap. I push inside and point straight at the front desk. We need separation now or this turns ugly. Urgent intake. I lay the papers flat without ceremony. The clerk glances past me toward the entrance and frowns. Stalking with doctored media, I add, breath steady. Mara lifts her phone and shows the ongoing recording. A buzzer clicks and the inner gate unlocks like a test. A uniform steps out and raises a hand for quiet. Phone's away in processing. He gestures toward a side room. Mara pockets hers but keeps her gaze on the door. The woman hugs the pouch tighter and nods once. I feel the pace shift, but not in our favor. My brother appears in the doorway and loiters with a grin. He lifts 2 fingers like a lazy salute and waits. The officer clocks him and moves us down the hall. We enter a bare interview booth with a wall camera. Documents on the table, the officer instructs, eyes sharp. I spread the sheets and center the clip on my screen. We need a tech to pull source data, I request. The officer taps a button and calls for digital support. While we wait, who is pressuring you? He watches reactions. Family, I answer and feel the word scratch my throat. He starts a case number and reads the timestamp aloud. Chain of custody begins now, he notes for the recorder. Mara places the pouch down and lifts both hands. No one else touched this since the cafe, she states. The officer nods, then tilts his head toward the hall. A second uniform enters with a tablet and a tiny kit. She connects a cable and opens the video file direct. Frames step one by one until the parking lot appears. There, she zooms and taps a corner shadow. Edge artifacts spliced detected, she murmurs like a verdict. The door cracks open and my brother leans on the frame. Family dispute, he announces to the room with fake warmth. The first officer blocks him with a palm up. Lobby only, he warns, then shifts his stance wider. My brother retreats 2 steps but stays within earshot. The tech runs a hash check and opens metadata tags. Creator app is listed as default, she notes, then pauses. Except the camera model string is malformed by 1 digit. She turns the tablet so I can see the typo. Same error as the lure texts, which tightens the net. Plate check, I add, and pass the number I memorized. The first officer radios dispatch and waits for a ping. I hear the static crackle and then a fast return. The car is leased to an outfit that collects debts. My brother's eyes flicker at the word debts, then go flat. Mara stays planted, but her shoulders loosen by a fraction. She watches him watch the pouch like it might run. The tech prints a brief report and staples it to our stack. No backstory, just findings. She says, almost reading my mind. We are finally stacking stones, not sand. The clerk returns with an evidence bag and a marker. Seal the originals, the officer instructs without looking up. I slide the papers in and press the strip hard. Mara logs the time and signs the line with calm strokes. The woman breathes out once, then stands a little taller. My phone buzzes and the officer nods for speaker. A bank specialist introduces herself with clipped precision. We detected unusual recovery changes on your profile, she begins. New device authorized through backup codes last week. She reads the alias out loud and my brother flinches. Document that call, the tech says, pen already moving. Forward a copy of the audit to this address. The specialist agrees and ends with a security freeze. The officer writes freeze placed on the sheet and underlines twice. Control returns inch by inch, but he still prowls outside. The woman opens her pouch and produces another item. A badge receipt with a staff signature and a time stamp. The signature matches the night from his clip bait. The tech scans it and nods like a clock striking. That places you at work, not a secret meeting. From the doorway comes a slow clap, then silence. He fishes in his pocket and raises his own phone. Want the rest, he teases, then smiles like a dare. The officer steps out and plants himself full in the entrance. Hand it over for review or you leave now. He lifts his shoulders and hands the device reluctantly. The tech connects and scrolls through a folder named Proof. Inside sit drafts of the same clip with varying angles. One file shows my back duplicated across 2 frames. Her eyebrows rise and she exhales like she smelled smoke. Composite confirmed, she states with steady authority. The officer writes fast and circles the word composite. Return to lobby, he tells my brother with zero warmth. My brother looks past him toward me, eyes hard. He leaves, but the hallway camera keeps him in the frame. Dispatch pings back with a fresh update on the plate. The lease lists a guarantor with our family surname. Mara's eyes cut to me and then to the door. Motive connects, the officer remarks, voice neutral but pointed. I feel something in my chest loosen but not break. The tech prints a quick chain note and hands me a copy. Expect pushback, she warns, then gestures at the stack. You brought enough for an emergency order tonight. I stare at the door and picture him pacing. He never planned for resistance, built this clean. The officer outlines next steps with clipped efficiency. Protective conditions, no contact, device surrender if ordered. Are you willing to proceed? He asks without pressure. I nod and look to Mara and the woman. Both nod back and the line between us tightens. A ringtone chirps from the desk outside and stops. The clerk knocks and cracks the door with care. External call requesting the case number, she reports. Caller claims to be your mother, she waits for direction. I swallow and choose speed over comfort, which marks a turn. Give her the number, I answer, then lift my chin. Note the time of contact and record any reaction. The officer signals approval and writes the instruction down. Mara reaches for my wrist and counts a slow beat. We hold still because quiet is sharper than shouting. The tech disconnects and returns my brother's phone bagged. Release only by warrant, she notes for the record. The officer escorts it to secure storage without flare. Through the glass, my brother stares at the locker with hate. He understands that object is now a loaded anchor. I sign one final line and cap the pen with care. Every stroke knots him tighter to his own game. The officer slides a copy of the order across the table. Serve him before he twists fresh stories, he advises. I stand ready to face the lobby like a battlefield. I step into the lobby with the order ready. He shifts his weight like he owns the floor. An officer paces beside me and lifts a palm. Face forward, the officer instructs, voice flat and firm. My brother's mouth curls while his eyes measure exits. The paper touches his chest before he can scoff. Served, the officer holds the corner until contact registers. He swats at the document and misses on purpose. The lobby camera blinks a red dot and keeps watching. He finally looks small, which only makes him reckless. Violation equals arrest. The officer's finger taps the heading. He huffs, then steps closer than the new distance allows. I do not move because movement feeds him. Mara angles sideways, phone angled low and steady. He tracks the lens like a moth to heat. A call crackles from the desk and stops quick. The clerk waves me over and pushes the handset closer. On speaker, I say, because I want witnesses. My mother's voice arrives tight and brittle like glass. Tell me it's a misunderstanding, she waits without breathing. No misunderstanding, Mara slides the report across the counter. The text note sits on top like a blade. My brother tilts his head and tries charm that never worked. She's poisoning him, he declares, palms open and pleading. My mother whispers my name, then asks for one hard fact. I give her the license record and the alias email. The clerk reads the time of change without commentary. A thin silence vibrates through the speaker like a wire. "Stop talking," my mother snaps at him without warning. He startles, then smiles at me as if she's joking. Doors hiss and the debt driver strolls in unfazed. He scans the room and points at my brother. "Payment bounced again," the driver announces for everyone. The officer lifts an eyebrow and requests an invoice. The driver grins because attention always helps collections. He holds up a tablet and swipes to the contract. My surname sits where the guarantor should be. My chest goes cold, then I force oxygen back in. "Fraudulent guarantee," I say, and raise my phone. The officer photographs the screen while the driver whistles. My brother lurches for the tablet with sudden bravado. The officer steps between and plants a firm forearm. "Hands down" comes low and even like a metronome. My brother retreats 2 paces and licks his teeth. The driver shrugs and emails the file on the spot. A push alert buzzes against my palm and won't stop. "Approve sign-in," the message begs with cloying urgency. Another arrives with a different location that makes no sense. I angle the screen toward the tech without a word. She records the timestamps and marks attempted takeover in ink. My brother watches my thumb hover and tries a trick. "Press yes and end it," he coos through clenched lips. I lock the device and look straight into the camera. Document coercion attempt at time of alert. The clerk writes fast like she has done this before. He produces a second phone with an overconfident flick. The officer's eyes harden like a door slamming shut. "Voluntary surrender avoids a search tonight," the officer warns. My brother weighs the bluff and pockets it anyway. Mara taps her screen and the lobby mic catches the clink. The entrance opens and my mother walks in alone. She stops 3 steps inside like the air hit back. Her gaze slides over me, then fixes on him. "Show me your hands," she orders, voice crisp as winter. He lifts them, trembling just enough to betray the act. She crosses the floor and holds out our father's ring. "Who used this to borrow?" Her knuckles go white. He stares at the ring like it burned his skin. No words come, just a thin hiss between his teeth. I realize 2 lies are about to collide. He lunges for the papers spread on the counter. The officer catches a wrist and turns it cleanly. A pair of cuffs clicks with unhurried certainty. My brother barks a laugh that dies halfway out. The lobby gets quiet enough to hear shoes pivot. Arrest for interference and attempted evidence tampering. The officer lists the counts with deliberate pauses. My brother's eyes go wide, then narrow to slits. He looks past me toward Mara with pure calculation. She meets it without blinking, then points to the camera. The driver edges backward like he hates collateral damage. He lifts both hands and asks if he should wait. "Leave your card," the clerk instructs without glancing up. He slips it on the desk and backs toward the door. He will return if money wakes the room again. Another alert pings, then stops mid-tone like someone quit. The tech glances at her tablet and nods once. "Push flood ended when the device locked out," she notes. My shoulders lower by a fraction, not enough to relax. He still has a play somewhere I have not seen. 2 uniforms guide him toward the exit with measured steps. He twists just before the threshold and spits words. "This ruins you," he snarls, eyes bright with mania. I let the officer steer him out while I breathe. Rage rattles my ribs, but I hold the reins. My mother lines on the counter and studies my face. "Can you prove every piece?" she asks without softness. Mara spreads the packet and traces the pattern trail. The clerk logs each attachment with quick, neat strokes. I watch my mother's jaw set into something fierce. She turns toward the door and squares her shoulders. "Finish it," she instructs, then signs her statement clean. Her signature lands like a hammer on wet nails. The clerk stamps the page and files it to the case. I feel the floor tilt toward a fight we can win. The officer returns without the cuffs in view. Transport en route, he reports with calm efficiency. I ask for a copy of the no-contact order. He hands it over and underlines the enforcement line. If he dials my number now, he sleeps in a cell. Mara takes the document and folds it once. Her chin lifts a degree, eyes on the clock. We go home and harden everything, she says. I nod because strategy beats fury every time. The next move leaves our building and cuts deeper. We step outside as the transport pulls to the curb. My brother watches me through the window with a dead stare. The driver's card digs into my palm like a thorn. I slip it into my pocket for later leverage. This part is over, but the bigger fuse still burns. We reach our door and I scan the frame for tampering. Mara unlocks fast and gestures me inside with a sharp nod. I head straight to the desk and pull the spare laptop. The hinge grinds and a login prompt flashes a new profile. I feel my pulse climb because that profile should not exist. Airplane mode, Mara taps her screen and watches mine. I cut the connection and open the user list. An admin named Agus sits on top like a crown. I drill into recent files and find a password vault export. The timestamp lands in the window we flagged at the station. I open system logs and scroll for removable media entries. A device label appears 6 times with identical serial digits. Once during our anniversary night, which turns my stomach hard. He had a key, Mara breathes, then clamps her jaw. I copy the logs to a thumb drive and label them quickly. A thud hits the hall and makes us both freeze. Mara kills the lights and moves to the peephole with care. 2 shadows pause, then continue toward the elevator without urgency. I capture 15 seconds of audio through the door seam. One voice mentions unit numbers and a maintenance ticket number. Call the manager, Mara slides her phone across the table. I dial and request tonight's badge report without small talk. The manager complains about the hour, then opens his console. He reads 2 entries issued under temporary maintenance credentials. Both used on our floor within the last hour. Disable the temp pool now, I keep my tone flat. Done, the manager mutters and promises a printed report. I ask for camera backups to an external drive now. He agrees and curses whoever killed the hallway dome earlier. We will pick that drive up in 10 minutes. Mara unlocks the safe and hands me our passports. Grab only essentials, she orders, voice clipped and careful. I pack the evidence bag, the laptop, and the drive. We lock windows and set a loud alarm on every entry. Mara writes our names on tape for the sealed door seam. My phone vibrates with a blocked call that keeps pushing. I route it to voicemail and hit record on speaker. A distortion filter tries to mask the caller and fails. Drop the case or your wife gets dragged through press, it hisses. I save the file and send it to the officer with a note. We move down the stairwell and keep our steps measured. On the second landing, a door creaks and shuts quickly. Mara grips my elbow once and releases after confirmation. I hate how paranoia feels like good judgment tonight. We reach the lobby and the manager meets us halfway. He hands me the drive and the printed badge sheet. 2 numbers repeat with a swapped final digit each time. Mara circles both and writes likely clone beside them. The manager grimaces like he swallowed a tack. I'll audit staff at sunrise, he promises, then lowers his voice. A siren wails a block away and fades to a murmur. I call the officer and flag the new threat voicemail. He instructs us to move to a hotel 2 streets over. Register under an alias and pay at the desk, he advises. We move now because standing still invites another move. The hotel clerk scans my ID and watches the card decline. He tries again and frowns with professional sympathy. Mara slides her card and it clears without delay. I open my banking app and see a pending wire attempt. The destination field includes a memo that mimics my style. I smash lock on every profile and add stronger codes. Mara angles her body between me and the lobby doors. Elena texts a single-line update from a safe number. 2 men asked if I work tonight, she writes. I tell her to sit tight and not open any doors. We ride the elevator up and keep silence airtight. Once inside the room, we place devices in the tub. Mara checks the peephole and sets a glass against the door. I pace once and force my thoughts into a list. Contact the bank fraud team, call our lawyer, call mom. I dial my mother and wait through 2 rings. She answers with a steadier voice than before. Where are you? She asks, and I hear movement behind her. Somewhere safe, I answer and ask if anyone visited. She hesitates, then mentions a man who asked about keys. Mara writes on a pad and holds it at my eye level. Tell her to sleep at a neighbor's until morning. I pass the instruction and she agrees without debate. Then she adds something that shocks me into silence. A folder arrived today addressed to the family trustee. Open it now, I say, and listen for paper shifting. Her breath stutters as she reads the first line aloud. A draft petition seeks to freeze my share of assets. The petitioner's signature block mirrors my email alias. My jaw locks, then I breathe because focus must hold. Send me images of every page, I request gently. She snaps photos and they hit my phone in bursts. The letterhead belongs to a firm that never represented us. The notary stamp looks real until the date lands wrong. It certifies a weekend which breaks its own authority. Mara leans over my shoulder and pins the discrepancy. She highlights the stamp and circles the wrong day. We take this to the trustee before sunrise, she says. Her certainty steadies me more than any law book. Momentum matters and we just stole a piece back. My phone buzzes with the officer's reply to the voicemail. Store the threat on 3 devices and email a copy, he writes. Report the fake petition to the on-call judge now. I forward the files and receive an automated docket number. A hearing request pings back with a time block at dawn. Sleep is not possible, so we split tasks cleanly. Mara drafts a timeline with concise entries and links. I tag every proof to a minute and a location. We cross-check names from the badge abuse with debt contacts. One surname overlaps on a storage unit lease near downtown. Why a storage unit? Mara asks, tapping the map icon. Stash for gear or a copy mill, I answer flatly. We decide on a detour before the courthouse opens. I book a ride and send the plate to the officer. If we find nothing, we still draw his circle tighter. The ride stops near a row of silent doors. I photograph the number panel and the nearby camera dome. Mara listens for voices and hears only distant traffic. My code from the badge sheet unlocks a side gate. Inside, a padlock swings loose like someone left in a hurry. We lift the door and step into a narrow space. Shelves hold office supplies and a small laminator. Mara opens a shoebox and finds blank access cards. I spot the same serial string from our system logs. I record every label while my stomach churns with clarity. A phone buzzes under a rag and makes us both jump. Mara flips it with her knuckle and the screen lights up. A text thread shows payment confirmations from a dead app. Recent sums match the withdrawals from our joint account. Each memo line carries a single initial that matches him. We do not touch the device beyond photos and timestamps. Mara seals the box with evidence tape from her kit. I call the officer and hand over the unit number. He instructs us to close the door and wait across the street. Patrol will recover within the hour, he promises without bluster. Dawn creeps in as a pale line at the horizon. We sit in the ride and watch the entrance with nerves. A van rolls up and parks crooked near the gate. The driver from earlier steps out and checks his watch. He punches a code and frowns when nothing moves. 2 patrol cars slide into position without sirens. Uniforms approach slow, hands visible, heads on a swivel. The driver lifts his palms high and tries a smile. They search him and find a stack of blank badges. A name card with my brother's alias sits on top. I feel my throat tighten, then loosen as procedure unfolds. The officer calls me and confirms the seizure on record. Go to the courthouse now, he instructs with brisk calm. Leave this scene to us and stay reachable. We pivot the ride toward the legal building without argument. On the way, my mother texts 3 words that land heavy. Trustee wants answers. Her message includes a location pin. Mara squeezes my hand once and releases with a plan. We will present the fake petition first, then the unit hall. If the trustee hears both, the freeze dies before it breathes. We step out at the curb as the doors unlock. I gather the packet and feel steadier than an hour ago. Mara checks the time and nods toward the security line. Everything leads to this room and the person inside. I push forward because the worst part isn't guessing anymore. The trustee opens the door and points us to chairs. Mara lays the folder down and flips to the forged petition. I slide the notary stamp close and tap the wrong weekday. Your seal shows a weekend certification, I say, voice anchored. The trustee's mouth tightens as he reaches for the intercom. Bring compliance in now, his eyes never leave the page. I add the email alias that mirrors the signature block. Mara stacks the storage unit photos beside the alias printout. Blank badges, serial strings, the dead app confirmations. The trustee nods once, then dials the family office with urgency. A calendar ping vibrates on my phone like a drill. The on-call judge moves our hearing to 10 minutes from now. Conference room with video, the trustee orders without ceremony. We follow as clerks wheel in a screen and a stand. I steady my breathing because the next call decides everything. The judge appears and asks for the shortest path to truth. Mara presents the notary error first and pauses for questions. I follow with bank logs and the alias recovery swap. The officer joins by line and confirms the storage seizure. Chain intact, he adds and reads the unit number aloud. Opposing counsel dials in late and forces cheer through static. Family misunderstanding, he begins with a polished shrug. The judge lifts a hand and requests timestamps only. Mara drops the badge clone list with 2 repeating digits. The officer uploads photos of the laminator and the cards. Any proof my client authorized those items, counsel presses. The officer uploads a photo of the debt app thread. The memo lines match withdrawals we tracked an hour ago. Counsel goes quiet long enough to count in his head. Request a recess, he tries, already knowing the answer. Denied, the judge replies, voice even and final. Emergency injunction granted against the petition to freeze me. Secondary hold placed on accounts tied to the alias. Device surrender ordered for any phone used in the edits. I grip the table's edge until my fingers hurt with relief. The trustee clears his throat and turns toward the camera. Our office recognizes fraudulent intent targeting the beneficiary. He withdraws support for the petition with immediate effect. He also suspends any advance to the other sibling pending audit. Counsel's face flickers like a screen losing signal. A door opens behind us and my mother steps in. She places a small key on the table without drama. That connects to my building Wi-Fi, she says quietly. Access is revoked as of this minute. Her eyes meet mine and something long overdue settles. The judge asks if additional threats reached us overnight. I forward the voice filter clip and the blocked number. The officer logs it and cross-checks the storage phone. Same cadence in the messages, same grammar tick. Possible witness intimidation, he notes and requests remand review. A bail officer joins and reads last night's arrest sheet. Interference, attempted tampering, coercive alerts during service. Add the storage evidence and payment trails, the judge instructs. Bail status revisited at arraignment this afternoon. Counsel stops scribbling and stares at the desk instead. Elena steps into frame from the station conference room. She confirms the lure texts and the offer for dirt. She holds up the pouch seal for the camera to see. The timestamp matches the tech report we filed at intake. Counsel objects, then withdraws when the hash check appears. The judge issues a no-contact expansion that includes proxies. Any approach through third parties counts as a violation. He assigns a special master to mirror the recovered phone. He sets a status check for 72 hours from now. I breathe out slowly because momentum finally bends our way. We disconnect and the trustee swivels back to us. Your inheritance remains untouched pending full review, he states. He slides his card across as a witness for future filings. Deliver updates directly to me in compliance, he adds. Mara pockets the card like a receipt for oxygen. My phone rings with an unknown jail extension flashing. I answer on speaker because silence helps truth land. Walk this back, the voice hisses through filtered static. Drop the statements or I burn your marriage. Mara leans toward the mic with both elbows rooted. Try it, she says, steady and low like a held line. We will respond with the storage unit contents. My mother presses the disconnect button herself. She stares at the phone like it finally told the truth. No one speaks because nothing needs translation anymore. We leave the building and take the courthouse steps 2 at a time. Outside, the same debt driver waits with a clipboard and nerves. I gave everything to the officer, he blurts without flourish. He adds that he never met my brother before last month. Mara takes his statement number and sends him on. The officer calls and asks for one last verification. Did he ever hold your spare laptop unsupervised? He asks. Yes, I answer and give the date from our system log. Matches the audit, he replies and ends the call. I look at Mara and the ground stops tilting. We return to the manager and swap out every lock. New codes, fresh badges, no shared access anywhere. I install an authenticator that uses a hardware key only. Mara maps our timeline into a clean packet for counsel. My mother texts a photo of her router unplugged and boxed. At midday, the arraignment docket posts a brief note. Remand requested based on evidence of manipulation and threats. Counsel argues for release to attend family matters. The judge denies and cites the storage discovery specifically. The transport doors close with a final metallic cough. I stand by the window and finally feel the recoil. Everything he built aimed to make me break first. He wanted me alone and ashamed when the lies hit. Instead, we walked forward and filled the gaps with proof. I look at Mara and the weight shifts into resolve. She reaches for my hand and squeezes once, then twice. Tonight we rest in shifts, she says with a crooked smile. Tomorrow we push civil claims and clean every last account. I nod because planning is a life raft that floats. Somewhere down the hall, our alarm test chirps like a metronome. My mother knocks and waits instead of walking in. She carries a folder and a single photo for me. It shows us as kids, arms tangled, faces reckless and bright. She sets it down and does not ask for apologies. I choose the child who didn't choose harm, she says, eyes wet. I do not trust relief yet, but I feel its outline. There will be hearings and depositions and fresh angles. There will be days when rage knocks like an old friend. I'm ready to meet each attempt with receipts and calm. This time the truth arrived first, and it brought witnesses.